Back. Aelita Diaries, yet again, it's image problem time. Boy, pick on Yumi week. We're in the thick of it now. And as we continue with XANA's creepy, really creepy new sexual fetish of picking on the goth girl. Unlike last week where he decided just to straight up try to off her and nearly succeeded, this time he wants one. Not her specifically, but a version of her. And every weird thing he tries to do to break the group up using this evil clone. Now, throughout our journey, we will see his constantly evolving tactics to try to divide and conquer. This is really his first massive attempt at it. His second attempt at it, oddly enough, will come in episode 10. That one might be a short just for my sanity. But anyway, image problem, episode 7. The introduction of the Guardian, which I don't know why they would call it Guardian. It's more like a blocker or cage, or I would have even called it a warden. But Guardian is the proper name, and this is the first time we've seen one. Yumi gets attacked by a Guardian during a routine, by this point, tower deactivation. But that is quickly, unannounced to the group, replaced by another Yumi. Now, of course, as the group tries to figure out what's wrong with Yumi, seeing that she's acting rather strangely, Aelita is forced to do some digging of her own. This is really the first time in the series where Aelita will take self-driven agency to figure out answers. Something she'll be tending to do more often the later we get, but this is the first indication of such. Meanwhile, back at the school, our evil Yumi is being totally a douche. Now, a podcast without danger, our main motivation for this entire series, and I will keep referencing them every week if I must. They do an excellent job at what they're doing. They do much broader research than just a rewatch and an opinion. Part of the original script has evil Yumi going in super hard. Not only on the nurse, but on Jim and on John Luke. And when I say super hard, I mean stuff that might have to get some censorship, broken bones and the such. XANA don't play with his evil clones. And even trying to divide the group up by saying that Oryx should date Sissy. Now, this would have been my entirely first red flag of she's evil. But hey, that's just me, among other things. And of course, the Guardian was the Guardian is holding the real one in the ice sector, which Aelita discovers while also trying to get sniped at to protect the Guardian. Of course, when the team discovers this is off to Ryoko. But I'd be remiss if I'm not talking about image problem without bringing up one scene in particular. A scene that has become rather infamous. And that's when Yumi decides to pay Jeremy a visit right before the final third of the episode gets going. And this visit gets a little steamy. And I mean really steamy. Keep in mind in the English version, these are 12-year-olds. And yes, evil Yumi goes as far as to try to nearly, first off, seduce our favorite computer nerd, literally, even down the tone of voice. And if not for Auric and Odd catching her, would have straight up kissed the poor kid. There's very few ways this could get worse, and the literal image problem of this scene doesn't make the scene hold up well. But don't worry, it will take about 3 seasons and another clone for Jeremy to get his revenge. But the scene is no less awkward and no less weird. But when it comes down to the Lyoko battle itself, leave it leave it up to the Lyoko Queen, not only for being absurd this episode and figuring out what's really going on, but absurd enough to come up with a solution. But also another bit of evidence that Aelita Hopper is broken. She's just OP in every sense of the word. And again, we haven't even gotten to her final form of overpowered yet. But yet, we get signal number 2 when she's able to create a digital clone of Yumi to trick the Guardian into releasing the real one. We also find out about another rule that will later be used in the series. The fact that, well, much like a video game, you can friendly fire your teammates. This one more constructively, of course, seeing that the fake Yumi is unplugging the scanners one by one, and poor Jeremy's on his own. And he's not the fighting type. So, Yumi decides to volunteer to go back willingly to deal with her clone personally. Even saying it's between me and myself. Which, Your greatest enemy in life is yourself. And yes, we actually get a Yumi mirror match as though we are playing a fighting game between the real one and the fake one. The only indication of the fake one being the Lyoko symbol on top of Yumi's head that only blinks for about 2 seconds to tell the difference between ours and the artificial. But seeing that it's XANA powered, Yumi gets overcome by the clone, but not before the tower is properly deactivated. But not before Jeremy is thrown down a shaft. If not for the return to the past, this kid would have gone splat. To where Splatsville ends, we do not know, but he would have ended up Splatsville. Now, the funny thing is, through XANA doing this, he's also proven that materializing something from the virtual world to the real one is possible. And in a bad choice, in my estimation, Yumi tries to soft seduce Jeremy again, only to get stopped by Auric. Of course, this time she's just joking around. But even the notion of this and, and bringing up the scene, even in a joking matter can feel a little off-puttish. Yes, this episode is but a 4. It doesn't have as much tension as last week's, but it most certainly has about as good of a roar as you can get. The plot is, at least for this episode, richly unique. And XANA's actual plot is smart. Really smart. I give him credit for having a season 1 high IQ. Outside of one or maybe 2 scenes that might be a little bit spicy for a kid's show, everything turns out fine here. Unlike my hiccups, which are not fine. But indeed, Image Problem continues pick on Yumi week with another strong entry. As far as next week goes, though, it's a fun one. And our first of many horror references for them to take. But again, much like I suggested with Crew Dilemma, give a podcast without danger a listen for their opinion on Image Problem. They get really deep in the weeds with this one. They do a good job. And also, listen to last week's episode when they did Girl in the Dreams. It's probably the most hilarious one they've done yet. Why? Because the episode is a dumpster fire. When we get there in 3 weeks, boy oh boy, this might feel like the return of the Scythia rants. Because this thing, but that's in 3 weeks' time. For now, I'll see you next week when we make horror movie references with End of Take. Until next time, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own Nirvana. And go far in whatever you plan to do this week. See you later, Guardians.